I sure do love to hear a whoop before a Star Trek presentation. Yes, my name is Scott Nance. I'm so honored to be moderating this Season 5, the fifth and final season of Discovery panel here at South by Southwest 2024 Film and TV Festival. So great that they added the TV to the title, because this show in particular is so cinematic. I have been lucky enough to see the first 4 episodes of Season 5, this fifth and final season. And let me tell you, you are going to love Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. So without further ado, yes, we're going to have a great conversation. So let's fly and introduce panelist Doug Jones. David Ahala. Wilson Cruz. Blue Del Barrio. Mary Weissman. Michelle Paradise, executive producer and showrunner. Executive producer and showrunner Alex Kurtzman. Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely one of the finest actors to grace a Star Trek soundstage, Sonequa Martin-Green. So, first of all, like I said, I've seen the first 4 episodes of this show, and the only detriment to that is now I got to wait a month and a half to see the rest of it. But boy, is it going to be worth the wait. These first 4 episodes have been absolutely fantastic. Some of the finest episodes of Star Trek by any measure. So you had your premiere here at South by Southwest. And Sonequa, and I want to start with you. How does it feel to premiere Star Trek Discovery for the first time ever, a Star Trek series premiering at South by?
That's exactly what it is. I don't know. It's just been really exciting. It's been exhilarating. We had no idea that this was gonna happen. We've never, as you said, we've never done this before. It's never been done before. But it's kind of the perfect atmosphere and the perfect environment for this moment. It's such a sacred moment, being the first moment of our last moments, right? Yeah. So it was really exciting to be able to have it together here with this vibe, with all of you, with everyone, with this energy. It's fantastic.
So watching episode 1 of season 5 on a big screen, you know, you kind of have to check yourself, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, this is for television. Right. But boy, does it fit there right on the big screen. Like it belongs there, like it was meant to be there. And it's been like that with every episode of Star Trek produced since the season 1 premiere of Discovery back in 2017. So Alex, let's talk about that approach into that approach into making Star Trek Discovery not just great Star Trek, but just great television.
What was the question?
How did you approach making Star Trek, especially Discovery Season 5, not just great Star Trek, but making sure it was great television?
So Discovery came along at a very interesting time because streaming was really just starting. You know, we were at the beginning of a huge learning curve that has obviously changed significantly over the last 5-6 years. I had done the first 2 Star Trek movies, which gave me a sense of like where. I think what I learned from those films is that you have to take big, bold swings, and that's how Star Trek continues to grow. And oftentimes, what happens is that, you know, if you sort of play it safe always, then it feels like it gets stuck in a kind of a routine. So we knew that we had to take big swings. And we also knew, yes, that it had to be great television, but it also had to be specific to Trek. And I think one of the things that is so beautiful about Star Trek is that, you know, because it was born on television, it really is about this bridge crew and the enduring time you get to spend with the characters. Whereas in a movie, you have only 2 hours and it's more limited. So I think the travelogue quality of Trek in general is in some ways better suited to television from that perspective. And then it was just like, okay, we're going to bring a movie quality to every episode of TV. Let's see if we can make that happen.
And here's the good news about movie quality to TV. So when Discovery drops on Paramount Plus on April 4th, which is a Thursday, I know you're all going to be there at 12:01 a.m. Let's face it, they're showing the first 2 episodes of the season on April 4th. So there you go. That's a gift. So Michelle, when you started production on season 5, you didn't know it was going to be the last. So then you get this like 11th hour call, actually a 12th hour call going, yep, this is the last. So what was behind that, and especially when you had to kind of regather the troops back for these final scenes that you filmed?
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't know, and so we finished shooting in November of that year, and then found out around the new year. And we can't say enough of our gratitude to CBS Studios and Paramount Plus for giving us the opportunity to go back and shoot some additional days, because we felt like we really then got to wrap up the series. Season 5 will feel like a satisfying journey, and then we were able to kind of do a little bit extra to wrap up the show as a whole, and we're so grateful for that. So when we got to go back and shoot that material, we knew going in that those few days were going to be the last days, and it was kind of cool because we got to go in knowing that and really just appreciate being there, appreciate being with one another. We got to say goodbye on the sets, which was just a really special and bittersweet thing. So it was wonderful to get to do that.
Mary, when I look at Tilly over these 5 seasons, I think more than any other character on Disco, that's what we call it. If you're a fan, you know. If you know, you know. But Mary, I feel like Tilly especially, like her journey has been that of like a coming of age to right? I mean, that's how I see the character, especially when you rewatched it and binged through it. Yeah, I did that. So what does that feel like, this journey, this arc of Tilly throughout Discovery, especially going into season 5 with new challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really grateful to have had the opportunity to play someone who was so fresh and so still very much in the process of being molded, and get to go on a journey with her. Like, she never really got stuck as just a quirky character who like throws out a funny line. She was kind of like constantly evolving, and that kind of tracks with like the period of life that she's been in. That's kind of when you start to like foment or like cement who you really are going to be. And I was very grateful for that, and always kind of focused on that aspect of herself becoming. And I love it. I love that she got to like have these really clear goals, and it wasn't about executing those perfectly, but rather she realized, or she was able to change her mind and find something that spoke to her more, the person that she wanted to be, not who she thought would impress other people. Like all of those stories just feel very, very human, very close to me, and yeah, so I really loved it, and I love where she ends up. I think she feels so self-assured in this season, but in a way that still feels so authentically her, as she's always been, her core.
She gets excited, and she's not afraid to show it.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, enthusiasm, like, we're alive, enjoy it. Like,
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes. So Doug, when you look at the arc of the relationship between Saru and Michael Burnham, going back to season 1, it was they weren't buddies, they weren't pals, but there are moments from that I've seen in season 5 that I can't explain, but you will know when you see them, where the emotion is between these two characters are so earned, and you feel it because those emotions are earned. So let's talk about the arc of that relationship with Saru and Michael.
You are correct. We did start as brother sister, like at each other's throats, like peck, peck, peck. I'm gonna elbowing each other out. I want the captain's chair first. I'm gonna beat you to it. Right, a little competition, a little, and then so as we graded on, we also wanted Mom's attention, right, with Michelle Yeoh as our first captain on the Starship Shenzhou. It's like, well, I'm her favorite. No, I'm her favorite. That was kind of the vibe. Through 5 seasons, we have been through so much together. life and death situations and trust issues and resolving them. I always talk to Sonequa about how much I hated our conflict scenes, but how much I loved our makeup scenes, right? And we did a lot of those. With when I outranked her, I had to downgrade her a couple times. Like, why would you? I've been trying to help you. Help me help you. You know? So getting through that, we did it, and we got to the point where now the respect is so deep, and my phone's going off. So sorry. That the trust is so there now, and all we've been through, the history is there, and so I would take a bullet for her, and I believe she would for me too at this point as our characters, and in real life too. I would.
In real life, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So life does imitate art in our situation, I believe.
By the way, you brought up a name. I just want to point out, okay, so a year ago, I was here in South by watching the Academy Awards. And the year before that, I was here at South by covering the premiere of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh, so what I have to say to that is that for the first time ever, you have a Star Trek captain who was an Academy Award winner, Michelle Yeoh. Let's hear it for Michelle Yeoh.
Right.
Did anybody talk to Michelle since she won her Oscar? I mean, I know you guys did, and be like, "Way to go!" I mean, you know, yes. Has anybody been able to like say,
yes,
talk?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
no,
that was a very, very special moment.
Yes. I mean, we want. We love Michelle. She's so much a part of our DNA, and we were all rooting for her that entire Oscar season. We watched the entire campaign. We watched the movie. I mean, I watched it multiple times.
We watched the movie together up in Toronto.
I would send her texts, telling her how much I loved what she wore when, and if I could borrow it once she was done borrowing it, because we have the same figure. Shut up.
So David, we've seen this. Speaking of relationships, with Booker and with Michael Burnham, it's been a rocky one where the trust is betrayed, and in season 5, he has to work his way back. So let's talk about the journey, especially because you came into a family that was already established when Booker became part of this family.
Yeah. First of all, it was a gift to join this family, and to Alex and Michelle, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll forever, eternally be grateful to you both for saying yes to this boy from Hackney. One thing that was very clear to me when looking at the relationship between Michael Burnham and Cleveland Booker, I wanted to lean as far away from it being sentimental as possible. I wanted to lean into the many, many grey areas that happen within any kind of relationship. And I also wanted to give myself the opportunity to embrace a great, deep level of love that can be found in a life partner. So having said all of that, again, the course of true love never did run smooth. But I really do believe that these two have a love that's worth fighting for. Yes, there'll be challenges, but why not? Let's fly.
I love it. I love that. That is awesome. So, with Discovery especially, there has been so much talk about equality, representation, and diversity. But if you look back to the first days of TOS, the original series. This is where my fandom totally just gets the best of me. It was there from the beginning, okay? In the second season episode, Metamorphosis, that episode is Love is Love. That's what that episode was about, and Gene Kuhn totally was ahead of the game with that episode. Sorry, again, my fandom was totally getting the best of me. But I got to ask you, Wilson, your relationship especially with Anthony, which goes back, I want to say, like 20, 30 years.
30 years.
Okay. So talk about working together to establish this relationship with Dr. Colbert and Stamets over these 5 seasons.
It's so weird to have this conversation without him sitting by my side. I miss him this week. He's not dead. He's in Tokyo. But, I have to say, it was the easiest, the easiest part of this job, and I've said it since the beginning, the easiest part of this job was falling in love with Anthony Rapp. That was easy, because it was so we never talked about it. We didn't like have a conversation about, you know, what this relationship was. We literally just looked at each other and said we're gonna the foundation of this relationship is the actual love that we have for each other, and we'll let that guide it. We have such admiration for each other and respect for each other, and I have learned so much from him. Sorry. In our scenes together, and what's really special is that because we have both been openly gay actors our entire careers, that we knew how much this meant. We understood how it would be received, and that we had a responsibility to get it right. And I think we were so, I can say for both of us, that we were so grateful for the way that it was handled, especially in the beginning, the way the relationship was revealed in that initial scene in the bathroom brushing our teeth, to, you know, the first kiss when he, right before he makes his last jump. And it was always, there was always such a deep sense of security between us in all of our scenes together. That was we were safe to take risks and go all the way where we needed to go. And some of it was really rough. Like that second season, you know, there was a lot of push and pull, and you know, were we going to make it or weren't we? And I think what was beautiful about what happened after season 2 was we actually came out of that stronger, as most relationships do when they're challenged. It really strengthened our bond and allowed us then to expand our family, as we have with Blue and with Ian. And it's just been an incredibly beautiful experience on many levels. And I think we're so grateful for the opportunity to have been this couple.
You know, another watershed moment, and you know, when you're watching any kind of show, and you know, there's a moment that you are not expecting that just really moves you. You know, when Adira is first introduced on Discovery, and there's that scene between Adira and Stamets. It's not he, she, it's they, and he goes, "Okay." I just thought that was a beautiful scene, and you know, same for you, Blue. What was it like for you to be part of something and to break another barrier with Star Trek, as all the barriers have been broken over these last 58 years?
It was so beautiful, and I'm only laughing because we were just joking about how Anthony said that yesterday, because it was the most Anthony way to say that. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was very, exactly how you did it. And it was perfect. And that scene was really special because I was saying this quite a bit yesterday, but I am eternally grateful to both of you for allowing me to step into this role and giving me this opportunity to kind of like sort of transition on screen, because it's kind of what happened, and I got to do that through a character that I love so much and with around people that I love so much. And it was also the least interesting thing about them, which I love, and that was the only time we ever talked about their pronouns. And it was like a 45-second scene. It was quick, easy, simple. And the response was, okay. And then that was it. And I loved that. And I loved that I got to be a part of talking about that scene, and y'all checked with me. And I just got to be very included in the process of bringing Adira to life, and going into their relationship with Gray, and I'm just very grateful for that, because I don't think that a lot of people are getting that opportunity. So I feel very lucky to have gotten to do that, and also to get a family, doing this that I really needed at the time, and will continue to need. But yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the biggest gifts ever.
You know, and that's the thing. I mean, Blue, you touch on something that's really important, is that the representation and diversity, it's just there. No one makes a big deal about it, calls attention to it. It's just there. Like, you know, remember that scene in Balance of Terror when Styles goes to the weapons room, and Kirk calls Uhura over and takes over navigations It's like, no big deal. What's the difference? Like, these are people working together in the 23rd and now 32nd century. Again, sorry, the fandom gets in the way. I digress. But one question that I do a lot of conversations for the SAG Foundation. You know, it's actors on actors. And one question I've gotten in the habit of asking, and I couldn't wait to ask you all this, because this applies to a Star Trek series. Sonequa, how, with all the technical dialogue and the speed at which you all have to say it, how do you remember your lines?
Well, oh my goodness, there's so many things I can say about that. But I mean, big ups to these two and the rest of our writers, right? Because it's not just, we affectionately call it technobabble, science speak, and space talk. Those are the three names we've given them, and it's, you know, it's always life and death circumstances and stakes. But what I love about the way it's written is that you can grab a hold of it really easily, right? Because it's all that story, all that richness, all that life is the subtext, right? And I think all of us sort of do this, but I have to know at least a little bit of what I'm saying, right? And that did take me into a lot of quantum mechanical rabbit holes, you know, and astrophysical rabbit holes. And then, you know, 45 minutes later, I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
I gotta feed these children.
It's dinner time. But I did have to know a little bit, and so I would do that. But then even just being able to connect, right? Because these are truly, I could say this to each one of them, one of the most brilliant actors I've ever worked with. Each one of them, and so we get lost in each other too, and we're in this beautiful imagined life together. So that also helps too, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Now, every actor has a different process. And it's really interesting to hear them talk and that's the thing, like every time I've asked a question, no one has the same answer. And it's because you have to remember your lines, and then you have to act and deliver a performance. So Mary, what is your process to remember, just look at the script, remember the dialogue?
I mean, it's a process. It's funny because Sonequa is like so virtuosic when it comes to memorizing lines. I mean, we've all seen her do it. It's nuts. It's like she's like got a computer part of her brain, and like she just like kind of inserts it, and then it comes out. For me, I mean, I feel similarly. You have to understand some of what you're saying, because the way that the brain retains information is through like logical functioning. So like, I mean, some people do have photographic memories, but I certainly do not. Yeah. So understanding kind of what you're saying, being able to see like whatever sine wave, you know, in your brain helps you bring all that stuff to life. And then also just like memory is absolutely a muscle. So the more you have to shove in there, the better you get at retaining it and being able to retain it and bring it back out faster, I guess.
It's like everyone's got. I mean, listen, for you, Wilson, with the medical speak, there's got to be a different method for that.
I mean, it does. Like Sonequa was saying, it's really helpful to like open up your dictionary and look up some of these words, because for me, it's all about the intention, right? Like, why am I saying this? What is the point of me saying this? And that helps me remember the words, right? So if I can remember, if I understand why I'm saying something, and I'm understanding the definition of what I'm saying, then it's going to be easier for me to remember it. So, but you know, I've also been doing this since I was 4. So at this point, so now, so like Mary was saying, it is muscle memory, and it is a skill that you develop, and you get better the more you use it. But it's repetition too. You know, it's how much time you take. You have to take the time to repeat it, and so that it's second nature to you. So once you're on the set, you're not thinking about that. I mean, very few times I have to say about our cast is like, everybody comes and they know their lines. Like we're not asking for line. That's not our set, because we also know it's a very expensive show, and you're gonna get 2 chances, maybe 3, and you better be ready, because they're gonna move on, because we have to. millions of dollars are on the line.
We're making a movie every, however
every
many
8
days.
days or 12 days or whatever it is.
It's episodic television. It's
Yeah.
not a single feature.
Yeah.
What do you have a process, David, that you to
Well,
remember your line? I
learning-
just think it's fascinating.
Yeah, usually I come from the school of thought of knowing everyone else's lines. And if you understand that, then you're good to go. But then I started to look at everyone's lines on the show, and I thought, ain't nobody got time for that. I was like, that ain't happening. So I had to flip it up a little bit, So it was a work in progress every day. I just went with how I felt and just figured it out from moment to moment, really. But listening is a very underrated skill.
So Doug, with you now, this is something that you've been experienced in far beyond your work on the Star Trek. Here is that when you're wearing heavy makeup, when you're wearing prosthetics, and you do remember your lines, and then because of the costume design and the prosthetics, how does that bring something out of your performance that even you were not prepared for when you were just trying to remember those lines?
Nobody can do what Doug can do.
Master.
Yeah.
Bless you. Thank. I don't deserve you. But I do not remember my lines. I think that's what we found out on set a lot. If anybody went up on them, it was me. I remember one time Captain Burnett came on the bridge, and I was reporting to her from my first officer position, and I said, "We're just getting to the thing." And so anyway, that's on one of our blooper reels, I think. But that happened all the time.
It wasn't that often.
Where I'd be looking.
It really wasn't that often. It felt often.
No,
to
it
you.
felt so often. Well, especially when you're on the bridge and there's always an emergency happening, and so you have to talk fast, and you got to get through name, rank, do that thing. Name, rank, do that thing, and there's always something scientific to do or mechanical to do, and it's like, season 1. Episode 5, I will never forget it because we got a script rewrite like the day before, and I had 5 scenes to do that day. And I was taking Captain Lorca was off. I was manning the bridge. Yeah. And so, it was a lot of what I just said, and that was the one time I've had to use a cue card because I had to look that direction. I forgot. Name, rank, and what were you supposed to do? Every take, so they finally put cards up. Like when I turned that way, blah, blah, blah. Right, so there's that. But then adding this to it, also cue cards aren't handy when you have contact lenses in and they're fuzzy. That doesn't help any. Yeah. So it does add another layer to your performance when you have to keep your energy up. So what I basically between shot setups in the green room area where we're kind of sitting and hanging out, these guys are all like looking at things on YouTube and playing games with cards on the foreheads and this and that and this and that, and I'm sitting there doing this.
With a straw.
Trying to save it for the next take. Yeah, that's kind of my process.
Nobody can kind of like nap on a dime the way that Doug does. It's like truly fascinating.
And we would facilitate it too, and we would just like crowd around him. You need something for the back of your head, or like whatever.
You did.
It's also hard to tell when you're napping because you kind of just like.
Yeah, he does. It's
And then
like
you're
low
gone.
power mode.
Yeah.
I go into.
We would all know.
I would
like,
talk to
let's
you
not
when
be
you were
too
fully
loud.
asleep, and I didn't know.
Oh, I've talked to Doug so many times when he's asleep.
Tell
and,
you
like,
really
isn't
important
that
things.
hilarious, Doug? Doug.
One of the things that I've been lucky to experience over these years, decades, is to see how the casts of each of the series, one way or another, bonded. Some stronger than others. But what I will say is that over these years of doing interviews with each of you, with all of you, whether it's at events like this or at conventions, wherever, is that you can feel the bond. You can absolutely feel like how much you are really truly like family. So for Blue, when you came on and you're coming into a series in which most of the cast members have already been working together for a while. What was that like to experience, to come into a show that was already pretty established and to join the family? Because I think that's something that is crucial to Adira's arc.
Completely, yeah. I was very terrified. It was already, like, obviously these people have such a close bond. They've done 2 really strong seasons together. They've known each other for a long time. I was younger. There was just a lot of things, and I don't know how many times I've said this to people, but and also had to say that I'm not exaggerating. Like, this is one of the best group of people that you could possibly put together. I don't know. Like, I truly, I will be lucky if I ever get to be with a group like this again in the future. Like, if something like this ever comes together for me again, because I came in really scared, really anxious, had just come out to my parents and was like starting my transition, and these people treated me like they're on. You and Anthony like their child immediately. The first time you met me, you immediately took me to lunch. You said, "You're coming with me," and he took me and we had lunch and we sat down and we talked about stuff that I couldn't talk about with anybody else because I didn't have anybody to talk about it with. And they still now are both like my father figures. These people feel like my siblings, my aunts, my uncles, I don't know. That's the most heartbreaking part of leaving this show for me is not being able to see them, because I don't know that I'll ever be lucky enough to work with a group like this again. These are the most special people in the world, and I know that everybody says that about their casts and their shows and whatever. No one will mean it. I promise you, no one will mean it as much as I do right now. My God, you guys got a really good group of people, and you guys are really great people, and this is insanely special. Yeah.
I mean,
We love you, Blue.
If I can jump in, I mean, it was so easy, right? Like, because Anthony and I started out as young, openly gay actors, we saw ourselves in Blue right away, and they were sitting in the in the makeup trailer, getting their haircut or something like that first day, and I walked in and I saw you, and you were a ball of anxiety, and I was like, oh Lord, we have got to take care of this one. I said, well, how long are you here today? And I was like, have you eaten lunch? So we had lunch, and you know, I said, because it was a very parallel experience, right? Like when I did My So-Called Life, I had just come out to my parents, and my character was also, the storyline was very much a parallel of my own experience. So there was a lot that I could offer, right, to calm them down. So, and it worked. I think, you know, the next day we were good.
Also, I have to say, Blue, after graduating from drama school, this was your first TV project. Yeah. I only found that out.
Then that don't make no sense, do it? It don't make no sense.
Absolutely, legit.
We would say that to each other. We would be like, how are they this good,
I was so impressed. Right. I was so very impressed, and I think everyone should know that. Like, salute to yourself. Yeah. Truly.
Yeah, Blue.
Love you.
Love you too.
All right, but the same question applies for you, David, because like when you have actors that join a show into the show, and then it feels like they were there from the beginning, like Walter Koenig joined TOS in season 2, you know, Jerry Ryan in the middle of Voyager, Michael Dorn joining DS9 in like the 4th season, you know, and goes on and on. But like when you have a character that feels like they were there from the beginning, it's a testament to just how strong this ensemble, and that's what this is, really works together. How did that like elevate your performance jumping into something that was established?
It was, well, first I was very happy that it wasn't just myself, it was Blue joining the season as well, so we can kind of share it between the two of us. But what's interesting is you have a character new to the show, a very established family, and this is a character that immediately breaks the rules. So that's always going to create some kind of energy. And then also, just looking at the uniforms of everyone, no one has pockets. And there I am on set, swaggering around with my pockets, you know.
Ooh, I got
my phone in my pocket.
Oh, we're mad.
I got gum in my pockets.
He
I got money in my pockets. You know,
like,
and I'm
he's
like,
gonna know what to do with his hands.
you know.
Damn it.
So you can see the envy. It was much, but to whom much is given, much is required. So Very thankful for those pockets. And honestly, on a serious note, just very, very grateful how kind this ensemble of actors have been right from the jump. You know, so giving, so caring. You always felt held, supported, inspired, championed to work hard. And the level of professionalism and execution was just very, very high. You know, everyone always came to set very well prepared. And I love that. I love arriving on set well prepared so I can relax and just fly. You know, yeah.
Just listen. Let's Fly is forever. It's up there with LLMP and, you know, To Boldly Go, all that stuff. So the great thing about these 13, by my count, Star Trek shows since '66 is that each and every single one has its own identity, its own feel, its own special, like compartmentalized, like that makes it stand apart from the rest of this series, of this mythology, so to speak. So, I mean, look, Alex, you've been a part of all of it now since Disco first dropped. So, when all said and done, especially now that you've completed filming Discovery Season 5, like, how do you see the identity of Discovery? What makes it special compared to the other shows? What makes it stand out to you?
Well, this question's been asked a couple times over the last couple days, and I think that, you know, there's a lot of answers to it, but the one that I am most proud, well, no, I'm not going to say I'm most proud of, but one that I'm, you know, I feel very special about is the fact that there would be no new era of Star Trek without Discovery. It just wouldn't exist.
That's right.
And Disco was the first one in the door. And, you know, after, I think it had been 12 years since there had been a Trek show on television. So we were the first ones in. And you know you're going to take a lot of fire when you're the first ones in, right? But you sort of take a lot of fire so that everyone else can take the hill. And that has been true of Discovery, you know, for good and for bad. But I think that it's funny, Frake said something really interesting to me that I never forgot, which was when Next Gen premiered, they just took so much fire. You know, everyone said like, "Oh, this is not my Star Trek. Like, there's no Kirk and Spock here. What is this?" 20 years later, it's one of the most beloved Star Trek shows ever, right? And so I think that we have a very, very loud fan base of people who love the show, and I am certain that 20 years from now, people are going to be looking at the show and recognizing how many groundbreaking things it did in so many different ways, not just for Star Trek, but, you know, certainly in the areas of representation, which obviously we've been talking about today. I think that while that was certainly Roddenberry's, you know, beautiful, beautiful vision, we like quadrupled down on it, you know, and we did so saying like, you got a problem with it, then don't watch us, you know, and I think we're really proud of that. So I feel that, you know, I feel like we told some really, really interesting stories. I mean, I've been listening to everybody talking about being a family, and, you know, it's not actually always like that. People say it's like that, but it's not. You know, you've like good casts, and, you know, people get along well, and sometimes they don't get along well, but this is a totally different order of magnitude, what's happening here and what has happened here. And I think with each season, it's only gotten deeper and deeper and deeper. So at a personal level, you know, I'm just gonna miss everybody because it's been such a delightful experience. You know, it's a very special group of people.
Well, you may miss everybody, but let's face it, this is Star Trek. No one really is gone. Just ask Spock. I mean, look, the third movie is The Search for Spock. You know. By the way, my dad called that. I was in my room crying after Spock died. I was 13 years old. He's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, Spock died. And my dad, who's not the most hip guy in the world when it comes to Hollywood, he rolls his eyes and he goes, "Don't worry, he'll be back." So, you know, who knows? Who knows, Alex?
Death is but a milestone.
Yes, absolutely.
Ask
Just
me,
ask
I know.
Culver.
But Michelle, I would love to hear your take on that as well, with the identity, what makes Discovery special. But also, I would want to hear how this like last minute sort of pivot to end the show, would that have changed anything about the way season 5 was written when you started?
Well, I'll start with the last one first. I don't think it would have. We've talked about that, and each season in Discovery we explore big themes, big ideas. This season is no exception, and without giving any spoilers away, this season is thematically about purpose and meaning, and that I'm not sure you can get much bigger than that ultimately. And so, after we finished filming and then found out that this would be our last season, we sort of talked about it, and if this were to happen on any given season of the show, it felt like this was the season for that to have happened, because when we found out that we were going to be able to shoot some additional material, of course we looked back, but there was nothing that we changed in the season itself. We did some additional shooting, but we didn't do reshoots. We didn't have to go back and chop up episodes and change a bunch of things. It felt very organic, what we were doing for those last few days of shooting. And I think people who don't know that we didn't know going in that it would be our last season will have no idea that we didn't know. I think it will have felt planned. And even for people who do know, I think it will feel very, very satisfying when we get to the end, because I think we've done really wonderful work over the season, just for the season itself, and then, our characters get a proper ending. We're fortunate it's not ending on some sort of cliffhanger. Are they all going to die? And then we never find out. Spoiler alert: they don't all die. So I'm super appreciative of all of that, and I know we all are. And then in terms of the legacy of Discovery specifically, I'm not sure. I mean, I suppose that's for people 10, 20 years from now to feel.
Perspective.
Yeah, but, as Alex said, this show has done so much on so many levels, and I've said this before, but for me, what is most meaningful, and I think will continue to be, for me anyway, most meaningful, is the impact it has on individuals when we come to things like this, or conventions or whatever, and our actors hear this quite a lot when they go. Just the impact that the show has had, the characters' journeys have had on individuals who they didn't think they could do something in their lives, but because Tilly did it, or because Adira did it, or or Culber, that they know that they can do it too, and that is so powerful. People getting to see Sonequa in the captain's chair, it's all so powerful, and it shows people who they can be, not just adults but kids, and I think that is a huge, huge lasting impact of this show and all of Star Trek as well.
I'm really, really excited to see how Discovery ends, because all these shows they've had such great, satisfying endings. TNG with All Good Things, and then again, with Picard and Last Generation, and last episode of DS9, last episode of Voyager. I mean, look, TOS had Turnabout Intruder. Really? I mean, it should have been all our yesterdays. Sorry, fan. Sorry about it. But I do want to say that, just looking at Tilly and her arc, from what I've seen so far, like how do you think you have changed as a person because of Discovery, because of playing Tilly over these 5 seasons? Like, how are you different now than you were in 17?
Mary?
You.
Whoa.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Stop trying to get an authentic moment out of me. I think, I don't know, maybe my whole life changed. I never thought I'd be on a TV show, let alone Star Trek. I never thought I would, get to be part of something this big, or that touched this many people, and that I get to play a character that people care for, that people are invested in, or get to work with so many people that I was a fan of before I came onto the show. So, everything has changed. It's kind of hard to single out one thing. It's just weird sometimes the way life works out. And I think yeah, when I like look back and think like, what if a younger version of you could see you now? I'm like, I don't think they'd believe it. You know, it's changed everything, and I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful I got to have this experience, and I'm super grateful I have these people in my life because they definitely made my life better. And maybe one way I've changed is like, I've gotten to learn a lot about how to be a person through the modeling of my castmates. And most of all, watching Sonequa just be a woman and a leader has been kind of like a life-changing experience for me. And the way she feels responsible to everyone else around her and shows up for every single person, and not in a superficial way. Like, she goes deep with every person she encounters and lifts everyone else up. And she has, in the gentlest and kindest ways, pushed me to be a bigger and better person at times when I wasn't being one, you know, like with kindness and love, and also just modeled a kind of person that I would like to be. And like, I don't know, I hope that's not too much. I hope I haven't embarrassed you. It's just like... Yeah, you changed my life, man, you know?
Thank you. I can say the same thing to you, Mary. Seriously. You've changed me too. Thank you.
Sonequa, okay. Take a moment. Consider this. If you could go back in time to your younger self when you started shooting Discovery, if you could go back in time, what would you say? What advice would you give to your younger self?
Okay, so this is interesting because something just occurred to me, and it's your question kind of goes right into it. Speaking of legacy and impact and how we've evolved, I think about in the very beginning when we started and we got a lot of criticism and from people who loved the show, who we really respected because we understood where they were coming from, but they were upset about the diversity. They were upset about me being at the helm. They were like, ew. We don't like that, and it hurt me. There was a lot of I've dealt with racism a lot in my life, whatever. But what I would say to my younger self is that what I was saying then is going to come to pass, because what we all said back then, if y'all remember, was like, well, you know what, like, we're pressing forward, we're pushing the needle forward. Let's just invite them to come. I know they feel that way right now, but maybe if they come, they will change and they will grow. And that's one of the contributions. That's an aspect of our legacy, is the evolution of the characters, of the story, of the show as a whole, and of us with each other behind the scenes. And it did happen because I did talk to someone, and I know he wasn't the only one, a white man who said, I saw myself in you in a way like I have never seen myself in someone totally different from me. And at the end of the season, I finally understood what it means to see yourself in someone different from you. And now I understand how to stop the cycle of racism in my family. He's like, now I understand what I need to do. And that person was given a second chance, just like all of us on the show, which you said so brilliantly the other day, that this story is about second chances and becoming who you're meant to be and falling forward and not being defined by your worst moment. And it's so rewarding that we were able to give that to other people as well, because that's what happened with all of us. That happened in front of and behind the camera, and the fact that it happened with other people as well. It is such a blessing. I praise God. That's what I would say. I would say it's going to happen. It's going to come to pass.
If I could just jump in real quick, I'm going to say something real quick. When you were asking Alex and Michelle about the legacy of Discovery. Sorry.
I know. Here we go, y'all.
This is your fault, Mary.
I did nothing, and I've never
You did.
cried
You opened
in my
up
life.
to cry. But I just wanted to say, every time I think about what the legacy of the show will be, for me, the thought that goes through my head is we can be heroes. Most of these characters are usually not centered, right? And when you think about African American characters or Latino characters or LGBTQ characters, we're sometimes, for the most part, victims, or something is put upon us, or we are the supporting player, not centered in the story. On Discovery, these people who are part of marginalized communities are the heroes of their own stories. They're the protagonists of this story, which is so rare to see. And so when other members of those communities get to see themselves centered and see themselves as heroes, it helps them understand that they too can be in charge of their own lives and be heroes in their own families and their own communities. That we have the power of being change makers, of changing the culture in order to represent all of us, so that we can see ourselves in it and hopefully create a better community, thus a better country, and maybe even a better world. I know that's lofty, but storytelling can do that. You know, you have to see it in order to be it and to create the world that we all deserve. And I think that, in the end, is the legacy of Discovery.
And that is why Discovery is premiering here at South by Southwest, for sure. So before I ask a few questions that are submitted here, I just want to make an announcement that right now on the Star Trek socials, new character reveals have been revealed. So as soon as we're done here, make sure you go to StarTrek.com, Star Trek on Paramount Plus, and see these brand new character reveals, which I saw backstage, and they are really, really cool. So the first question we're going to take is from Celia Wilkinson, who asks, the representation you have put forward is amazing. Did you set out to be so inclusive, or did it happen organically? Let's go to the showrunners to talk about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when when CBS asked me to first do a new Star Trek show, I didn't say yes right away, because I didn't have a reason to do it other than to do a new Star Trek show, and I was sort of waiting for that reason. And the answer was that when we wanted to put a female of color in the captain's chair, and that was a whole new reason to do it. It was very, very intentional, and I was also very excited about the idea that she started as a mutineer, because then it was like, oh, there's at least 3 seasons to get her to be captain. So that was very exciting.
Let's what your take on that, Michelle?
I mean, same as Al. I can't speak to then, but every season that I've been on has been very intentional as well. We have conversations at the beginning of the seasons. Who else can we add into the cast? And we're very thoughtful about that, thoughtful in the casting, thoughtful about the behind the scenes, all of that.
I gotta ask. So with all the seasons you've been getting ready for Saru, all those hours of the makeup and prosthetics, the last time you removed that prosthetic, all that makeup.
Let's talk
what
about
was
it.
that? What was that like for you? Were you happy? Were you sad? What was it?
I mean, I've never worn pumps around, but when a lady has taken her shoes off the last time for the day and goes, right? That's what it felt like when that final prosthetic came off of my face. But Whitney Houston was playing in the makeup trailer. I hung Saru on my hand and I sang, "I Will Always Love You," to this, and thankfully someone was recording with their phone, so it's out there somewhere. But I might have teared up a little while I sang. Okay, whatever. But it was happy to be done with that part of it, but also I will miss him so dearly. He's become a part of me. I've learned a lot from Saru.
Like literally, he's become a part of you. Next question is for the showrunners here. How do you balance sewing together the quilt of Discovery itself with adding to the grand tapestry of Star Trek as a whole? Michelle, that's you.
Well, all right. I mean, I think it always comes back to the foundation of Star Trek, TOS, what Gene Roddenberry laid the foundation for in terms of diversity, inclusion, optimism, hope, reflecting what's happening in the world via the sci-fi elements, and then respecting the canon that has come through all of the iterations of Star Trek. So all of that is kind of the groundwork for it, and then our job on Discovery, of course, is to make Discovery the best it can be within this universe and to push it farther in all of these different ways. So we're always thoughtful of everything that has come before, and we're also equally thoughtful about what makes Discovery, just as a show in and of itself,
Yep.
and making sure that we honor both of those things.
Alex, you want to talk to that as well?
I think Michelle answered it perfectly.
Okay, all right then. Thank you to Mark LaCroix for that question. Okay, so let me see here. All right, so this is a general comment saying thank you so much for being so open about emotions and personal growth during this interview session. That deserves a round of applause for sure. So Wilson, Mark LaCroix has another question, and it is, what has it been like for all of you almost a year after you've wrapped to come together and see everybody again and to do press now for this fifth and final season?
Well, this has been really cathartic for me because I didn't get to. I had already taken a job, so when they went back to film the end of the series, I couldn't join the group. I was in Thailand, and so but they were. Sonequa was kind enough to call me from the party afterwards, and she ruined my makeup, and I had to go back and get it done.
We were stalking you, were we not? We were stalking you that whole day.
But so this has been my opportunity to see everybody again and to, not to close the circle, because I feel like they're stuck with me whether they like it or not, and I think they like it, and but it's really cathartic for me to be able to close the circle of the series with them. I wish, like I said, I wish Anthony was here with us, but I relish every opportunity I get to be with these people, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I'm a better actor because of the experience I've had here. They've inspired me in so many ways. I've learned so much, more than I could have learned in any class, and I'm so grateful to them. I'm a different person than when this experience started, for sure, and it's because of these relationships.
So here's the question. All right. What does the number 909 mean to you? Any takers?
Alex knows because he's
He
not.
should,
Alex,
yeah,
do you
he
know?
nodded.
How many Star Trek episodes there have been?
Bingo. 909.
Oh my goodness.
When this first episode, the first two, drop on April 4th, Thursday, there will be, well, actually 910, the one after 909, 910 episodes of Star Trek produced since September 8th, 1966. Wow. What does that mean to you, Sonequa? 910, and you're a part of it. You're all a part of it.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm just grateful that we were the last. How many did we do? It's like you said earlier, Michelle, like we don't know what, legacy is something that is sort of determined after time, so I'm really excited to see how.
It's 58.
Is it 58?
We did
Good math.
Or 59.
going. All right.
59.
Yeah, I'm so proud of what we brought. It wasn't just the diversity and the representation, it was the cinema that we brought to the TV, realm. And it was also the evolution that came from the serialization, which we brought as well. So I think we went boldly, like I said
Sure
before. And we are different people. I'm different because of you. I'm different because of each one of you. So yeah, I'm like, what? Wow! Look what we did! Look what we did!
We did it!
That's how I feel.
910. So take that, Star Wars. I'm just saying. So final question. With this being the end, we know that this is the end for Discovery. At least this interpretation of Discovery. Let's just say that. So because this is great television, by any measure, this is also something because of the fans that they've made this possible. So is there anything as the captain of the ship that you would like to say to the fans, Sonequa?
I know. Go. Goo.
We love you. We love you. We flew together.
Okay, that it doesn't get better than that. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, season 5, the first 2 episodes drop on April 4th, Thursday, the first 2 episodes of season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. Make sure when you watch it, you spread the word. You spread the word, because I'm telling you, these first 4 episodes I've seen are fantastic. Wait till you get to episode 4. It's going to rock your world. Make sure you go on social media. Make sure you spread the word. And so go on Facebook, go on Instagram and TikTok, and you in the back, if you want to use Twitter, X, knock yourself out. Thank you all for being here. Live long and prosper, and keep going boldly.